Hello, and welcome to the Monster Painter. This week, I dig into a cheap thrift store baggie of goodness. I can't wait to find out what's inside. Yep, that is quite an inexpensive bag of toys from the thrift store. No questions about that. But I promised a cosmic horror in the title, and I don't know how this little plastic sack of old plastic toys is going to deliver on that promise. Better open the bag and find out. And first out of the gate is this Remorhaz by Wizkids, retailing at $11 Canadian, and quite a deal, but not a cosmic horror. A couple of plastic frogs, way too large for our purposes. A broken, dirty old bee toy. Sure, it has potential, but it is not at all worth the effort to pull it off. A plastic turtle, good scale for a giant tortoise, but the proportions of a tiny turtle, so no. And what do we have here? I have no idea, which makes it perfect as an unknowable cosmic horror. Let's take a careful look at the scale of this stuff, and yep, the bug and the frogs are way out of scale, way too big to be of any use. The Remorhaz, however, is the right scale, genuine D&D after all. The turtle and the rat are no good, but I love this weird thing. It's perfect. And here we have the two things from the bag that are worthwhile. I have a layer of gesso on the weird thing, and a base coat of blue on the Remorhaz. Let's get started. Oops, I forgot to hit record. This is all you're getting of me dry brushing portrait pink over the base coat. What a fool. Okay, now for some proper video. I have based this horror in a mixture of iron oxide, violet, and portrait pink. And then I dry brushed a layer of portrait pink over top of that. This gives the nightmare a fleshy body horror look. I'm going to push this by adding a wash of quinacridone crimson to the top of the model. I think I'm going for a cosmic boil. And I'm kind of starting to gross myself out. And what would a nasty boil be without a juicy white head? Ugh. To this effect, I am brushing on a layer of unbleached titanium to our turgid infection here. Ugh, what am I doing? This is so gross. I feel like I'm losing sanity points while I'm painting this loathsome eldritch pustule. And if anyone knows what this plastic thingy was before it started transforming into an unthinkable entity, please let me know in the comments below. I honestly have no idea what its purpose or function was. It was found in the bag of toys, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like a toy. Anyway, please share your insight into the origins of this strange and mysterious vehicle of fever dream horror. Now, there's not a lot of detail on what I'm going to start calling Pimple Popotep, the greasy chaos. In order to differentiate the various parts of its anatomy, if you will, I'm going to add a layer of dry brushing to its appendages, a mixture of portrait pink and unbleached titanium. Hopefully this will give the thing a more credible look and make it look a little more animated. This dreadful eldritch boil possesses 6 appendages which are attached in pairs by a little bit of plastic, an artifact of its original purpose. I could have cut and carved it away, but instead I'm going to add a coat of quinacridone crimson. This should make this part of the model look like a gooey blob of viscera sticking to the legs of Zitzogoroth. Adding to the overall hideousness of the thing and explaining away this little bit of detail. Finally, just as it is described in the Necronomicon, a model of a great old one is completed by painting its toenails. To this end, I am adding a layer of burnt umber to the knobby bits at the end of the unthinkable pustule's appendages. This will differentiate that part of the model from the rest of it, making them look like tiny eldritch feet. But before we look at the final result, I will have to deal with that Remorhaz. Of course, the first step for our dreadful ice centipede monster is a dark blue base coat of anthraquinone blue. What a mouthful. It's a deep dark blue, which I love for these kinds of projects. Over that, I'm going to apply a dry brush layer of teal. This will bring out the textures and forms of this classic Dungeons & Dragons monster. The main trick is to go slow and be patient, building up the paint layer slowly so it is more effective and convincing. This model was the reason I bought the baggie in the first place. These Remorhazes are produced by Wizkids for their Nolzur's Marvellous Miniatures line, which specializes in the proprietary Dungeons & Dragons creatures, of which the Remorhaz is a venerable and classic example. I believe they typically retail for around $12 to $14, and so when I found this one for just $3, it was an irresistible bargain. The star of the show, that hideous cosmic horror, Yogg Sogros, was just an incidental bonus at first. And now I'm throwing in 3 models from my pile of shame into this project. We have a 3D printed gnome artificer, which my buddy Lauren gave me, a bizarre Rackham confrontation model, and what I believe is an old Malifaux model. So, our trio are piggybacking on the Remorhaz's color scheme with a dark blue base coat and then a dry brush layer of teal, going for a ghostly look. You see, my buddies and I have a monthly game of Frostgrave, and we've been slowly working our way through the Maze of Malcor campaign. The next 3 scenarios all include different wizard shades as the boss monsters. Wizard shades are long-dead ghosts of the department heads of obscure schools of magic at the ruined Wizard University where the Maze of Malcor takes place. The Remorhaz color scheme works great for ghosts, and these 3 models are imperfect fits, but they should get the job done just fine. With the blue colors out of the way, it's just a matter of finishing up the details on our undead academics. And with that, they are out of the way, and we can get back to working on that dreadful Remorhaz monster, to which I'm going to add another dry brush layer. This time a light blue mixture of titanium white and phthalocyanine blue. This will help bring out the dynamic textures on the dreadful worm's hideous back. Now our Remorhaz is sitting on a big pile of stones. I have base coated those stones with dark gray, a mixture of Payne's gray and titanium white. I am now adding a dry brush layer of a lighter, warmer gray, a mixture of Payne's gray and unbleached titanium. This is my standard approach to painting rocks, and it should be quite effective. Now I'm going to finish off those rocks with a edge highlight of a light gray mixture of Payne's gray and unbleached titanium. That should finish off the base, and we can get back to the beast. Now I'm applying a base coat of light blue, a mixture of titanium white and cerulean blue, to the underbelly and legs of the hideous worm. I will add a wash of dark blue to this area to bring out the details and textures. Once again, when I did that step, I forgot to hit the record, which is too bad because it's much more dramatic than this step. Our Remorhaz is a very old Dungeons & Dragons monster dating back to issue number 2 of Dragon Magazine, and it has appeared in every iteration of D&D since then. They are an ambush predator who sets themselves up on glaciers and ice fields in the far north or at high altitudes, and are a classic and beloved monster in the franchise. My Remorhaz will be getting work as a giant worm in my games of Frostgrave, a role for which he is clearly perfectly suited to. Next up, I'm going to add a light wash of cobalt blue to his cobra-like fan. This should help subtly differentiate this part from the rest of the model and make the whole thing look more interesting. I quite like this miniature. It is fearsome and intimidating, and he has a bit of a Jabberwocky vibe to him. As well, he is sufficiently bizarre and scary looking that he could definitely pass as a mythos monster if he ever needed to join the star of the video, the Great Cthulhu, in some mind-bending Call of Cthulhu mystery. I'm gonna finish up his details off screen, and then we can take a look at our final product. And here we go. First up is the Astromancer Wizard Shade, a kind of astronomer-sorcerer. Next we have the Distortionist Wizard Shade. It's a dangerous and chaotic school of magic, and the model is well suited to the job. The final Wizard Shade is a Spiritualist, a school dedicated to ghosts and the ethereal. The big Remorhaz is ready to stalk the icy wastes and menace all who travel there. And finally, the star of the show, Schlub So Gross, the Whitehead of the Woods, easily the grodiest thing I have ever painted, and surely to revolt all who lays eyes upon it.
Hello. I have become aware of a secretive organization of YouTubers who create miniatures and tabletop terrain out of dusty old toys. This mysterious group has begun to come in conflict with the 3D printing and wargaming industrial complex. The results of this conflict are yet to be determined. More research is necessary, and I will report as soon as more information becomes apparent. For now, remain vigilant. I've got to go. The tinfoil under my hat is really starting to itch. End transmission.
Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell. Ring the bell!
You are watching Les the Monster Painter.